Imagine that every morning, without knowing it, you have stood before a hidden portal. It is not in a lost temple. It is not in an ancient book locked away. That portal is in front of you every day, and it is called a mirror. But here is what no one told you. That mirror doesn't just reflect your face. It reflects your destiny. And what you declare before it can open the doors to your wealth or condemn you to scarcity or condemn you to scarcity. Florence Scovel Shinn, a woman who defied the Great Depression, discovered that the mirror could become the key to abundance. It wasn't cheap magic. It wasn't superstition. It was a technique that combined the power of the word with the deepest secret of the subconscious. Today I am going to reveal that ritual. A ritual so simple anyone can do it, yet so powerful. It was considered dangerous in its time. Stay with me, because what you learn here can transform your relationship with money, abundance, and yourself forever. Florence claimed that most people live speaking from scarcity. They say, I want more money. Or repeat, I need to make ends meet. They don't know that those phrases are decrees in disguise. Each word is an order to the subconscious. When you say I want, what you record is lack. When you say I need, what you sow is emptiness. She discovered there was a single word capable of breaking that cycle, a word so direct. It turned an ordinary mirror into an altar of abundance, but she didn't reveal it immediately. First, she asked her students to observe their reflection in silence, because what mattered was not just pronouncing it, but feeling it. She said, the subconscious does not respond to long phrases or desperate pleas. It responds to what is firmly imprinted in a state of absolute focus. The mirror was that point of focus, a place where you cannot escape your own gaze, a place where your reflection becomes a witness and a judge. Florence called it quantum impression, an instant in which the right word said with conviction is burned like fire into your subconscious. That was the true secret, not repeating things 1,000 times, not begging, but declaring with certainty as if you already had it. And it all began with that forbidden word that changed the lives of thousands. The mirror seems like a common object. You use it to fix your hair, adjust your clothes, or check if your image is presentable before going out. But Florence said, it is not just any glass. It is a bridge between the visible and invisible worlds. Every time you look at yourself, your mind doesn't just register your face. It activates a secret system, mirror neurons. Your brain replicates what it observes. If you see yourself as weak, your mind records you as weak. If you see yourself as strong, your identity grows stronger. If you place a power word on that reflection, your subconscious adopts it as part of who you are. The ancients knew this. In Egypt, they used polished obsidian mirrors to awaken elevated states of consciousness. In Greece, temples used reflective surfaces as symbols of inner revelation, elation. Florence, without being an archaeologist or scientist, sensed the same truth. The mirror is not passive. It is an active tool to reprogram your mind. Imagine the difference. Walking down the street whispering, I want abundance. Your mind hears it as a distant desire. Now look yourself directly in the eyes and declare, I am already receiving infinite abundance. That reflection allows for no excuses. Your subconscious records it as a sealed command, a decree impossible to ignore. That is where the transformation begins. Not at the bank, not at the office, but in that intimate moment before the mirror when you decide which word will be sown into your soul, soul. Florence told the story of one of her most desperate students. She was drowning in debt. She felt every day was a battle against unpayable bills, creditor, calls, and the weight of scarcity. Florence didn't give her a motivational speech or offer complicated formulas. She just handed her a blank piece of paper and asked her to write a single word. Then she told her, "Tape this paper to your mirror and every morning look yourself in the eyes while you say it." The woman obeyed. The first day she felt ridiculous, the second day skeptical, but by the third she began to notice a strange change. Something was shifting inside her. Her voice sounded firmer. Her gaze was no longer that of a victim. During the first week, small jobs started to arrive that gave her back her hope. Clients who had previously forgotten her suddenly started reaching out. By the second week, new opportunities knocked on her door. What seemed impossible began to take shape, as if that word had awakened a hidden river of abundance. Florence told her, "So do you see what happens when you engrave certainty into your subconscious? It is not magic. It is law. It is the reflection obeying your voice." The mirror had become something more than glass. It was now witness, a personal altar, an amplifier of intention. And it all started with a simple piece of paper and a forbidden word. Florence insisted on something that seemed contradictory. Repeating an affirmation 1,000 times doesn't work. You can write it in notebooks, shout it to the wind, chant it like a mantra, and still change nothing. Why? Because repetition without faith only reinforces the lack. The subconscious doesn't obey empty words, it obeys quantum impression. That instant where emotion, word, and gaze align like a lightning bolt. When you stand before a mirror, you cannot escape yourself. Your eyes are the gateway to your own truth. If you speak with doubt, your reflection gives you away. But if you declare with certainty, your subconscious registers it as an irrevocable order. Florence explained it with a metaphor. It is like recording a disc. Every word is a groove. If you speak from fear, you record lack. If you speak from certainty, you record abundance. And sooner or later, that disc will play in your real life. That is why she taught that seconds of absolute focus were enough to change the direction of destiny. Not hours of prayer, not mechanical repetitions, just an instant of pure conviction. The mirror was the perfect stage for that act. There is no audience, no excuses, only you, your reflection, and the word that can ignite the universe. Florence finally revealed the word that changed everything, a word so simple that many could not believe in its power. That word was receive. Why was it so different? Because saying I want is confessing that you don't have it yet. Saying I need is ordering lack from the universe. Both words place you in the position of a beggar. But when you say I receive, you declare identity. You are not begging. You are not waiting. You are affirming that abundance is already yours by divine right. Florence repeated, abundance does not depend on begging heaven, but on recognizing yourself as its heir right here, and now. That is what receive means. A word that doesn't beg, it commands. It doesn't postpone, it activates. It doesn't ask permission. It claims what is already yours. Imagine two scenes. In the first, someone in front of a closed door says, I want to enter. I need them to let me pass. I am waiting for the key. In the second, another person arrives with firmness, turns the key they already have in their hand and says, I receive what is inside because it belongs to me. Who gains access first? The second. That is how the mind works. That is how the subconscious responds. That is why when you look in the mirror and say, I receive, you aren't just speaking, you are reprogramming your identity. You are telling the universe, I am already the heir to infinite abundance. And the extraordinary thing is that your brain responds as if it were already real. Modern studies confirm it. Saying I receive activates reward and gratitude areas, while I want or I need spark anxiety and frustration. Florence knew this intuitively a century ago. That is why she called I receive the forbidden word, the key that breaks down walls of scarcity. Florence taught that it is not enough to know the word, you must engrave it into the subconscious with a precise act. That is why she created what she called the mirror ritual. Every morning, before going out into the world, stand in front of your mirror. Breathe deeply, look directly into your own eyes and declare, in a firm voice, I receive all the abundance the universe has for me today. Do not say it quickly. Do not repeat it like a parrot. Pronounce it calmly, with certainty, as if every word were a decree carved in stone. Keep your gaze fixed for exactly 17 seconds. That number, Florence said, was enough for the thought to penetrate the subconscious and be recorded as truth. It does not matter if it feels strange at first. What matters is consistency. Do it for 1 day and nothing will change. Do it for 7 days and you will begin to notice signs. An unexpected message, a gift, a door that opens. Do it for weeks and you will see how your identity changes from within. The mirror becomes an altar, your eyes a doorway, your word a key. What seemed like a simple act, a piece of paper, a mirror, a word transforms into the most direct method to claim your spiritual inheritance, the infinite abundance that was always waiting for you. Florence summarized the ritual with these words, what you gaze upon you record, what you record, you receive. Florence warned of something that many overlooked. Never tell anyone what you do in front of the mirror. It might seem exaggerated, even unnecessary, but she called it the rule of silence, and there was a profound reason for it. The subconscious is extremely sensitive. Every word, every outside comment can sow doubt in the mind. And doubt is like an invisible eraser that deletes what you had worked so hard to record. Florence recounted the case of a woman who began the ritual with enthusiasm. Each day she looked in the mirror and declared, I receive abundance. The results were immediate opportunities, gifts, new connections. But one day she told a friend. The response was cold. That is ridiculous. Pure suggestion. Within a week, everything stopped. The flow was cut off. Why? Because what had begun as certainty was contaminated by the seed of doubt. Florence compared it to planting a seed in the ground. If you dig it up every day to show others, it will never grow. It needs darkness, silence, and time to germinate. That is why she asked that the word in the mirror be a private pact, an intimate code, between you and your reflection, a secret contract, between your subconscious and the universe. Abundance blossoms in the hidden before it shows itself in the light. Silence is the shield that protects your decree, and daily faithfulness is the key that opens the door to the miracle. Florence was never just theory. She said, a teaching without results is like a dry river. That is why she documented stories of those who applied the mirror ritual with the forbidden word. One of them was Miguel, an unemployed carpenter. He had been sending out resumes for months. No one replied. He had lost hope. One day he heard the teaching and decided to try it. He stood in front of the mirror and declared, I received the perfect job that is mine by divine right. For 3 days he felt ridiculous talking to his reflection. But on the 4th day, while he was eating breakfast, the phone rang. A company needed a manager for a new workshop. They hired him immediately. He said, It was as if the universe had been waiting for me to accept it to open the door. Another case was that of Thomas, a teacher with a forgotten dream to be a writer. He applied the ritual for 21 consecutive days. On the 22nd day, he received an unexpected letter. A publishing house had found a manuscript of his forgotten in a contest. Not only did they publish it, but they offered him a $250,000 advance. Thomas confessed, "The money was important, yes, but what transformed me the most was discovering that my mirror gave me back my true self, a creator, not a beggar." These cases were not mere chance. Florence stated that when a pattern repeats in different people, in different places, and with the same practice, we are no longer talking about coincidence but about spiritual law. The mirror was only the stage. The word was the key. Faith, the fire that ignited everything. Florence was not satisfied with the basics. She said that the mirror ritual was like lighting a spark, but that there existed a practice capable of lighting an inextinguishable fire. She called it the 7-day technique. The method was simple, yet profound. Each day, for a week, you had to vary the affirmation with a new layer of power. So your subconscious didn't just receive the seed, it watched it grow like a tree with roots and branches. Day 1. I receive the seed, the beginning, the act of opening the door. Day 2. I receive infinite abundance. The river begins to flow. Day 3. I receive my perfect provision here and now. Abundance becomes immediate. Day 4. I receive with gratitude what is mine by divine right. The heart aligns with gratitude. Day 5. I receive my divine inheritance. Identity is elevated. You are no longer a beggar. You are an heir. Day 6. I receive my illuminated and prosperous path. Abundance is not just money, it is direction, purpose, clarity. Day 7. I receive and share because my prosperity blesses those around me. The circle is complete. What is received multiplies when shared, Each statement had to be written on a new piece of paper and taped to the mirror, removing the previous one. The papers were not thrown away. They were kept in a sealed envelope. Florence called them invisible contracts with the universe. And here was the most surprising detail. Many of her students reported that on the 7th day, something concrete manifested: a canceled debt, an unexpected client, an unforeseen opportunity. The mirror was transformed into a living archive of pacts, and each paper was a key that opened a deeper level of abundance. Florence did not teach this ritual as a simple trick to attract money. She said the word receive was much more than a wealth magnet. It was a declaration of spiritual identity. That is why she warned, if you use this power only for the ego, you will have quick gains, but you will lose your peace. Some students, dazzled by the results, applied it to accumulate without gratitude. Yes, they obtained money, gifts and favors, but soon after, their lives filled with anxiety and conflict. Florence called it karmic recoil. When abundance is claimed from greed, the same energy turns against you. True inheritance is not just material, it is spiritual. It is the certainty that by receiving, you also bless. That what flows to you must flow through you, through you. Florence repeated again and again, harmony. is man's divine plan. Where there is harmony, abundance not only arrives, it stays. That is why she insisted that when declaring I receive, you add gratitude and purpose. Because the universe does not reward those who accumulate out of fear, but those who share from certainty. The mirror does not distinguish between what you ask for out of ego and what you affirm out of faith. It gives you back exactly what you declare with conviction. The question is, do you receive to hoard or do you receive to expand? The power of the word receive was not limited to bills or bank accounts or bank account. Florence said, "What you sow in your subconscious manifests in all areas of your life." One of her students arrived sick and discouraged. No treatment seemed to work. Florence asked him to declare every morning, in front of the mirror, I receive my perfect health restored, here and now. At first he said it without believing, but over time, his body began to respond. The symptoms decreased, his energy returned, and he himself said, "It was as if my reflection gave me back the healthiest version of myself." Another case was that of a woman who felt lonely and unloved. Florence instructed her to look into her eyes in the mirror and say, I receive the divine love that is mine by right. Shortly after, she met the person with whom she formed a happy marriage. She said, it was as if that word had opened the door that I myself had closed out of fear. There were even those who used receive to find purpose. A young man lost in jobs he hated declared, every morning, I received clear guidance toward my destiny. Within a few weeks, an unexpected opportunity led him to discover his true calling as an artist. Florence repeated, do not limit the word. Receive is not just money, it is health, love, purpose, joy. It is everything that corresponds to you in the divine plan. Thus, the mirror was not just a portal to wealth. It was a portal to a full life, a reminder that the true treasure is recognizing yourself as heir to the totality of good. Florence said that the mirror is not just an object of glass, it is a silent altar. Every time you look into it, you are in front of a sacred space where your decrees become invisible contracts. Think about it. An altar does not need candles, incense, or images. An altar is any place where the invisible becomes visible. And the mirror fulfills that role better than anything because it reflects the most intimate thing, your identity. When you place the word receive in that daily frame, the mirror stops being a passive witness to your routine. It becomes an amplifier of your intention. Each fixed gaze, each spoken word is like planting a seed in the most fertile ground and your subconscious. Florence called this the invisible contract to me. You don't sign it with ink. You sign it with faith. You don't seal it with paper. You seal it with your gaze and every day you repeat it, that contract strengthens. That is why many of her students describe that over time, they no longer just saw their face in the mirror, they saw a future version of themselves, stronger, more confident, more abundant. That is the true magic of the ritual. The mirror stops showing who you are today and begins to show what you are destined to be. Florence did not invent a new ritual. She rediscovered an eternal principle, the word as a key. In the Bible it is written, by your words you will be justified, and by your words you will be condemned. Every sentence you speak is a decree. Every word is a seed that germinates in your life. Think of Jericho. The walls did not fall with swords. They fell with shouts and trumpets. Sound, vibration, the words spoken in faith brought down what seemed impossible. Florence used this same symbolism. When you declare "I receive" in front of the mirror, it is like shouting before your own wall of lack. That wall cannot withstand certainty. It collapses. She also evoked stories from other cultures. In Greek temples, mirrors were symbols of inner revelation. In Arab myths, the phrase "open sesame" would open caverns filled with hidden treasures. And in Egypt, obsidian mirrors were used to awaken consciousness. All these images point to the same thing. There are words that open doors. There are sounds that activate invisible keys. Florence summarized this truth with simplicity. One correct word said, "With faith is more powerful than 1,000 without conviction, without conviction." That is why, when you stand before the mirror and declare "I receive," you are not following a superstition. You are connecting with the same force that moved walls, that opened caves, that lit up temples, and that today can unlock your own spiritual inheritance. Florence repeated, "Imagination is the scissors of the mind. With them you cut the pattern that your subconscious will fill with reality." It is not enough to just say the word "receive." The secret is in feeling it, in letting your entire body vibrate as if you had already received what you declare. Look at yourself in the mirror. Do not just say "I receive money." Feel the weight of the bills in your hands. Hear within you the sound of a bank account increasing. Imagine the call where they confirm that a debt has been forgiven. Let your reflection not be an empty face but the image of someone who already lives in abundance. Do the same with health. Declare, "I receive my perfect restoration," and visualize your body full of energy. Listen to the steady beat of your heart. Observe in your reflection the version of you that smiles without pain. Do it also with love. Declare, "I receive the love that is mine by divine right," and watch how your eyes reflect tenderness and trust. Imagine embraces, laughter, and deep conversations. Feel it as present, not as a distant future. Florence taught that the subconscious does not distinguish between the real and the intensely imagined. If you feel it on your skin, if you see it in your inner mirror, your mind records it as truth, and the universe responds to that vibration. That is why sensory visualization is the fuel of the ritual. The word "receive" is the key, the mirror is the door, and imagination is the force that ignites the whole mechanism. A single day in front of the mirror will not change your destiny. An affirmation spoken halfway will not tear down walls. Florence insisted on it. Abundance responds to discipline as much as it does to faith. Transformation arrives when the ritual becomes a habit. When every morning, without excuses, you stand before the mirror, breathe, and declare. When you do it on the easy days and the difficult ones as well, that is when the word stops being an experiment and becomes an identity etched into your subconscious. Some of her students practiced it for 21 days, others for 40, and the most committed adopted it as part of their lives forever. They all agreed on one thing. The first signs appeared quickly, but profound changes arrived with consistency. Florence told the story of a man who lost faith when he saw no results in a week. He abandoned the ritual just before an unexpected inheritance was released in his favor. He gave up, she said, at the very door of his miracle. The mirror demands fidelity, not because it needs to convince the universe, but because it needs to convince you. Day after day, your mind stops seeing you as someone who asks and begins to recognize you as someone who receives. That is the true power of habit breaking. the cycle of doubts accumulated over years and replacing it with unwavering certainty. Make the mirror your daily companion.